Welcome, my name is Christina. I'm the founder of atlaseek, and today, together with Tony from videreo, we'll be talking about your very first influencer campaigns. So I hope you'll enjoy the session. Now, a little bit about myself. I'm, as mentioned, a founder of atlaseek. My background is in tech and product. I used to build products for others in banks and e-commerce. And for the past 2 years, I live around content creators and travel brands. With atlaseek, we're the biggest travel creator collaboration marketplace with clients in over 15 countries. And in the past 8 months, our creators did over 600 collaborations with these brands and generated over $2 million in earned media value. So I've done a lot in this topic and feel like there's so much to share and insights we have from our platform and also from our clients. So what I'll be talking today is a lot about the best practice on how to select the right creators, what are the trends in the industry, what to pay attention to, and how to make sure you're not wasting your time and money on influence that's not influential. And Tony from videreo will continue more on the ROI and how to track your collaborations side, and will do his own bigger introduction as a part of his segment. We'll be doing about 30-40 minutes of our presentations and insights. Make your notes with questions and topics you want to discuss, because the second part will be discussion and Q&A, and we'll definitely have at least 20-30 minutes to cover your questions and answers. And it would be great to know a little bit more about who's in the audience. So feel free to drop in the chat just where you're based in, what type of business you work at, if you're with a hotel, with a destination agency, tour operator, or something else. And what's your experience with influencers? Is it positive? Is it neutral, negative, or none? You never worked with them. It would be great to have a sense on who joined us today. We have greetings from the Netherlands, morning from Erbil Rotana, amazing. We have Iraqi marketers joining us, Vienna, Austria. As mentioned, I'm sitting in Dubai, in the UAE, South Africa, adventure tourism. Very diverse group from all around the world. That's what I love at these webinars, that we can, even though it can be tricky with the time zones, but it's cool that we can connect even in different parts from the world. We have Egypt, PR agency, amazing. All right, so lovely meeting you all. Let me get started with the insights, because that's why you're here, to learn something new. So let me open up with a brief intro on creator economy in travel and tourism. I think it's not a big news that social media is the #1 resource for travel inspiration. I remember when I was a little kid and we were traveling with my mom, we opened the paper book from the travel agents, and that's how we selected, the tour we'll be going to and the hotel we'll be staying. These days are gone, and social media are the key resource where travelers seek inspiration. And when we look at millennials and Gen Zs, the number is obviously a lot higher. We're talking over 90% of the 4 billion millennials and Gen Zs take social media as the key resource for travel inspiration. And according to Skift, they announced their mega trends for this year, for 2025, and announced influencers as the new power brokers in travel. So there's a lot of buzz around content creators and influencers, but it's not a new topic. Many of you already worked with them. And as with everything, one has to be cautious and really calculate on how to leverage this channel in the right way. And that's what we'll be talking today. Now, I want you to take a guess in the comments of what's the percentage of US adults that consult travel influencers for trip recommendations. So, what percentage of US adults do you think go to influencers when they're planning their next trip? Is it 5%, 20%? Someone says 50%. What do you think? 70% from Rafaela, 60%. Take a guess. One more. It's 84. So even higher than we all might think. So working with influencers can be quite powerful across markets, not only in the US. And when we look at trends of budget spending from different marketing teams, a quarter of the leading online brands already allocate over 40% of their marketing budgets to content creators. So it's a resource marketing managers take very seriously. Now, there's been a research done by Beautiful Destinations, which I found really interesting to kind of summarize this overview of kind of the data and trends and to really see as a confirmation that creators and influencers are an important partners for travel brands. And this graph shows us something very important, and that's that right now, or in the past, creators really play a huge role in the inspiration, potentially research phase of planning the trip. And we see a huge drop in the planning and booking phase. That's because social media don't have the power to create the booking for us, right? We open our reels, our social media, scroll, but then the booking is still made on booking.com or hopefully at your own websites to have direct bookings. But there's not the link between the creator and the inspiration, the content they create, and the booking. And that's something that's changing really rapidly already in China. So China has a local variant of TikTok that's called Douyin. And they launched the option to book experiences, usually one-day experiences in hotels, on the app. And it already is taking 20% of the market. So this can grow extremely quickly. We have, and I have information from our friends from TikTok and from Meta, that this is something they're working on a lot. And I'm excited that we have Tony with Videreo that are basically working on something very similar in their app. And he'll be sharing more insights around the social commerce in travel and bridging the gap between the inspiration and the booking phase when it comes to working with creators. Now to working with creators. So how to do it the right way? What's the best practice? How do hotels, destinations, tour operators do it? As mentioned, this is based on the experience we have from seeing hundreds of creators collaborating with brands around the world on our platform, specifically in the travel industry. And I find these 4 points very important. So first is you really have to define and keep consistent your brand match. If you're a luxury property hotel, probably it does not make sense for you to collaborate with budget backpacker travelers. So know and own your niche, define clearly who are your personas, including especially your countries of audience, the content style you need to be presenting on your social media, and when collaborating with creators, stand behind that, because otherwise you're very likely just wasting money on someone whose audience is in a completely different part of the world than your average guests. Someone asked in the form when we were registering you on how to find creators, especially if you're, for example, a hotel and need to attract creators from not your local market, but from the international markets. There are about 3-4 ways how you can kind of find these creators that are consistent with your brand match. It's either you can find them on Instagram, TikTok, scroll and approach them in DMs and emails. Very time consuming method, but still you can land some collaboration this way, and hopefully you have the match when it comes to audience and countries. You can receive requests from creators themselves. So a lot of creators are proactive and approach you in DMs and emails. That can also be a bit time consuming, especially I know some 5-star destinations and hotels, they receive hundreds of these requests every month. So it's pretty difficult then to figure out who's behind the following. You can use an agency, influencer agency to help you, or a tool like atlaseek that's focused on travel and travel content creators and collaborations. So then authenticity. That's my favorite topic since we are based in Dubai, in the UAE. There's a huge problem with fake following. So that's something you as a travel brand just need to be really careful about, and learn how to spot bot followers if you're not using any tools like we have. If there's someone as on the screenshot that has 30,000 followers, but the engagement rate is 0.1% and fake following is 80%, probably you won't get much result with such person. You'd be surprised how frequent this is, even from profiles you would not expect that look professional, that have nice content. So suspicious engagement to someone that has 100K followers, but their reels have 2,000 views consistently. Something is fishy, and you're likely paying for bot followers. Have realistic expectations. I see a lot of brands collaborating with one creator and expecting to be booked out for the rest of the year. You have to be consistent. Same as going to the gym. You won't grow abs, after one hour visit of the gym. I always recommend to invest continuously at least 6 months into creator collaborations. Do at least 10 or 20 of them based on your budget and product, and then make an evaluation based on that. Otherwise, you're really not getting the sense of what your audience resonates with and what you should replicate. And lastly, something also that was a question in the registration form around AI creators and the role of AI in all of this is this last point. So I don't see anytime soon AI creators replacing real creators in travel, because it's such a personal and human part of industry where we need the human connection. People would not resonate with AI generated Paris. They want the real Paris. Why would they travel there in the first place if the AI version would do the job? So where you can leverage AI is in helpful tools and automation on how you collaborate with creators, how you find them, and that's a lot of what we do at atlaseek. Now I have 3 examples for hotels, for tour operators, and for kind of tools or platforms, and the best practice how to collaborate with creators. These are, again, based on what we see on our platform from hundreds of collaborations around the world. When it comes to hotels, what's typical for hotels are barter collaborations. Hotels very rarely pay on top of the experience for creators, which is challenging for creators, obviously, but they're used to it. It's kind of an industry standard. The only paid collaborations we see in the hotel industry is if it's a part of some HQ campaign that's leveraging their rewards or loyalty program, etc. What's the standard is one reel or TikTok video with stories, or being a part of a vlog on YouTube. YouTube is a very powerful and useful tool for travel brands. Usually the posting is 14 days from the experience, and smaller creators very often share content for your own use, for your own social media, if you give them the credit for that. Now, the challenge with for hotels is, again, that you very often don't really target the local market, but you need audience that's outside. So ultimately, you need, if you're a hotel in Dubai, you want creators from Germany or from the UK, where travelers come from to your hotel. And it can be very difficult to find creators like that because they ultimately have to travel to your destination. That was one of the questions in the registration form. And since creators, for example, on our platform, they share their travel plans, they do 10 to 20 trips every year. It's usually beneficial for hotels that need outside audience to use tools and platforms to connect with creators, because it's challenging if they want to target non-local markets. Now for trips, tour operators, destinations. We usually see fem trips organized, 4 to 8 days fem trips, usually all inclusive, usually also including flights, especially if it's organized by the destination, but sometimes creators are willing to pay for their flights if the experience is something unique. There, the deliverables are extended. So we see, a couple of reels, static posts plus stories. There, a lot of creators also, what we see, are leveraging YouTube for larger blogs that are covering the end-to-end experience. And that's something also that gives the brands a lot bigger exposure that is everlasting, because videos on YouTube, they're relevant even in 2-3 years. You won't find reels, 2 years old in your feed. So I really think of YouTube as a serious channel for your marketing strategy, because it's long term, and YouTube is still one of the biggest resources for travel research when it comes to destinations. The posting can be longer because there's more editing involved, more footage. So it's usually 14 to 30 days. Own content, usually creators share it at extra cost, but can be negotiated. And what's really, really important, and I want to mention as a huge opportunity for DMCs, for tour operators, are creator group trips. A lot of creators realized that they can become tour operators and organize group trips, either with themselves or even without them attending the actual group trip. We have over 100 creators that do group trip organization professionally, and they sell tens of trips every year. It's usually working really well with adventure destinations or with some unique experiences. So we are talking group trips to Iraq, group trips to Antarctica, to Argentina, or to Egypt, themed group trips, full of solo female travelers or retreats. So this is a huge opportunity for you to enter the creator economy space in a bit safer way. If you're a tour operator, simply try to get your first collaborations with a creator that organizes group trip. Organize the group trip with them, cover their cost of the trip, and share revenue from the sold trips. If this will work out, throughout the year, you can organize tens of trips with this person, and it's a win-win for both. And it's a serious revenue stream for both creators and travel brands. So really, don't underestimate this channel and try to target creators who organize group trips. Now, the last example is paid collaborations. This is just for, I'll speed up my slides. Just an example of how much creators can charge for a post or reel. These are kind of the industry standards. What I personally really recommend is performance-based fee structure, where you have a base rate, but on top of that, you motivate the creator with some performance metrics like engagement bonuses, click bonuses, and booking bonuses that are linked to the sales revenue they generate for you. It's becoming quite an industry standard, and it can usually be very well negotiated. What's really important, like these are campaigns we very often see with like eSIM card companies or campaigns that are bigger. We can see creators as, especially in the travel, where we're giving them experiences that usually cost thousands of dollars. We don't see the need to pay on top of the experiences. But unless we treat creators like professionals and pay them, it's not, we won't have creators. So, for example, only 10% of travel creators earn more than 100K US a year, and 35% of creators earn less than $5,000 a year. Obviously, if you're not paying creators and helping them grow, you cannot expect them to be the professionals and invest back into their business as you would like. So paying creators for their influence and for their exposure on their sites is super important. Evaluation, I'll leave more to Tony, but really take your time to evaluate the campaigns. You can do it either by more of the impression-based metrics or more conversion-based metrics. We help brands a lot to track these in the dashboard, or you can do it yourself, but know what impact creators drove so that you can evaluate if it even makes sense for you. Now, lastly, just a bit about us. As mentioned, we're the world's biggest travel creator marketplace. We work with tens of brands around the world. And our goal is to make creator collaborations easy, less time consuming, and revenue generating. So if that's something that's relevant for you and your travel brand, I want to invite you to explore our website, hub.atlaseek.com. And for the first 10 customers, new customers, we have 10% off forever for any of our plan with code MyFirst10. So we want you to have your first 10 creator collaborations as easy as possible, and hopefully we can help you reach that as soon as possible. So that was from my end. Thank you. Keep your questions for the end. I'm stopping sharing, and Tony, over to you. Curious to learn more about the whole ROI and evaluation part.
For sure. Thank you, Christina. That was really great. And I got a lot out of that myself. So thank you for that. You will see through the presentation here that we didn't collaborate on what we're going to put in our slides, but we are actually in step with one another quite a bit. So good to see that two pieces of research coming from different areas coming up with the same kind of information and results. And to kick off, I'm actually kicking off in the exact same way as Christina did with, are influencers actually influential? And I'll even use the same piece of media or from Skiff there, where as part of their mega trends, they came out at the start of this year and announced that influencers are the new power brokers in travel. And it's not unsurprising because of the audiences which they are able to reach, that they have the opportunity for travel to really find a new growth channel where some of the other channels that we've been used to over the years are starting to not work as well. There's question marks over SEO, paid performance marketing in Meta and Google's becoming expensive to the point where the ROI no longer works out how it used to. And then actually this week, or only 2 days ago, I was listening to a podcast, and it was actually about Meta being investigated in the US and potentially, to be broken up of its different parts, Instagram to be spun off, etc. And Scott Galloway from the Pivot podcast essentially announced that his feeling from that case was that Instagram now dictates the global travel market as kind of a piece of evidence as to why maybe Meta should be broken up. The evidence that he gave there was a story around influencers talking about the cost of food and drinks in Mykonos in 2024, which has caused a 30% downturn in demand for Mykonos for the following year. So a little bit about me, who am I and why am I here talking to you? So my name's Tony Khan. I've spent most of my career in travel, and most of that time in travel with a company called Intrepid Travel. So one of the responsible travel pioneers, a soft adventure travel company based out of Australia. And I had a few different jobs there. One was helping to set up the Middle East. Or initially, I was actually a tour guide in the Middle East, living out in Cairo. Then I set up the itineraries from Morocco to Iran, pretty much the best job in the world at that point. And then when I returned to Australia, I worked in digital marketing for the company, and then founded a business inside Intrepid called Urban Adventures, which I then ran for 10 years. And Urban Adventures is the day tour business of Intrepid. Grew that out to 160 cities around the world. So geographically diverse, not a high ticket item product, very difficult to market. And the reason I'm telling you all that is because it's actually my experience from Urban Adventures, which was the first time I'd encountered working with influencers and creators, where I was the decision maker. I was the one who had to say, where are we going to spend our budget on this form of marketing or another form of marketing? And the insights that I've taken from that time at Urban Adventures have been a big factor in wanting to start Videreo, which I can talk to a little bit later on. Now, the big question is there a return on investment? And I saw in the chat here when we first started out, someone said that their experience with creators had been checkered. And that made me chuckle, because I would say that was exactly how my experience was at Urban Adventures. In that business, I had a marketing team that was basically divided into two, and many of you in your companies would have something very similar, I'm sure, where you have a quarterly budget meeting, you have a certain amount of money that you can deploy to try and drive your results. And the performance marketing team, those that spend their money with Google and Meta, etc., they've got a number that they can bring to that meeting called return on ad spend, or ROAS. And so they can say in that meeting, our blended ROAS at the moment is 2.3. So if you give me the whole $100,000 budget for marketing, I'll give you back $230,000 in sales. And that's pretty compelling in terms of somebody who needs to achieve sales goals. As the manager of the business, you've got something pretty concrete that you can go on. then the other side of the marketing department, the brand side, would come in and give their pitch. And they'd say, so we've found this incredible influencer. They're so brand aligned. They've got this amazing following. We've got this incredible storyline we want to tell that really brings out the essence of our business and talks to our USPs. And, you know, it all sounds amazing. But when you ask about what are the results that we will see from this collaboration versus the cost that we might have to put in, and they might be asking for half the budget, 50K or something, it was always based around fluffy metrics for me. It was around, we might get this amount of engagement, this amount of people might see our brand. And, I understand brand marketing is all about, getting people to go and, Google your site so that you get those bookings direct down the track, but it's very difficult to track that back. And so inevitably, what happened in my time at Urban Adventures was 80 or 90% of the budget went to the performance team, where I knew I got my numbers kind of set on what I could achieve. And unfortunately, the crumbs from the table went to the brand team, who then had to rejig their arrangement with that person or find someone else. It was all ineffective, and yet there was still a big opportunity there that I thought was kind of nagging. Did we miss something along the way? So when evaluating a collaboration with a creator or an influencer, I like to look at it in what goal is it that we are trying to actually achieve. And by breaking it down into the different types of goals, makes it simpler to make decisions around where you might spend some money and what the reward for spending that money might be. And always simple to have an acronym. And in this case, the acronym that I like to use is ARC. So the A stands for awareness, the R stands for reuse, and the C stands for conversion. And you can have one of those, you can have multiples of those, combinations of those. I think most people want all of those, but it's then that you need to understand what the mechanics of each of those elements are and what the output you need to make in order to drive each of those results back in. So awareness is, your business. Looking at it from the tour operator or the hotel point of view, it's my business, but the creator's audience. For reuse, it's the creator's content, but going out on my channels. So I might post it into my own social media channels, the content they've created. I might put it on my website. I might turn it into ads and use those in my own campaigns. And then the third one, which is the one that we all kind of know, is conversion. That could be sales, but it could also be leads, depending on how your business operates. So from an awareness point of view, what are the things that I like to look at in terms of how I would go about building an awareness campaign? And Christina obviously covered this off really, really well. The number that matters most, it's numbers that matter most here. So, a good following, if you want to attract a decent amount of views and engagement, or you need to be able to vet your creators. And obviously that's a service that atlaseek provide. And from my own experience of working with creators where we didn't use any help whatsoever, we just fished through Instagram and tried to find our own best matches. We didn't have a very good hit rate, to be completely honest. So having somebody that can help you vet, I think, is very important and good value. The awareness goes fast in this channel. So the post happens, the cycle of the algorithm runs its way through. You've got 48 hours essentially to make a hit or not. And beyond that, it's then up to you whether you want to then put more money behind that to boost it and get it out there. So you, I guess, do know whether you get a result very fast from the time of posting. Unfortunately, you don't always get the result that you had hoped for and in terms of your expectations. And I guess the point I'd make around that is that creators don't control the algorithm. It's the companies, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc., who control the algorithm. And sometimes there's just other things going on that suppress a particular piece of content, and it's actually out of the creator's hands. And so, working with creators over the past year or so, I've really kind of learned to understand that it's not always quality content that equals great results. And so it can be a bit of a crapshoot around that. Um, as Christine also mentioned in her presentation, it's good to put aside a budget to boost or to pay the creator a bonus if you don't hit the numbers that you hoped you might have reached when you started that campaign. And as also Christina mentioned, gifted or barter, as she mentioned in her presentation, is okay here. In terms of reuse of content, in this scenario, if it were me, I would be looking for the content quality more than the numbers of followers that a person has. Here, you're looking for someone who can create beautiful content in a style that fits with your brand, and be able to explain and tell the story of your USPs or your unique sales proposition the best. So you don't necessarily, in this case, need to find those big hitters with the large numbers. It's not really about that. If I was interviewing somebody, I would ask them about the formats that they use, or the storylines that they would intend to use for my brand. It's a simple question to see if they've done any research before they've got to the call or got to the engagement with you, or whether they've just sent out 60,000 different requests to work with different people, or are they actually invested in your business? There's a fantastic lady called Holly Phillips who does this for a living as an agency for a lot of the five-star brands around the world, the five-star hotel brands. She's an excellent person to follow on how to set up formats and create great storyline content, particularly if you are a hotel. I highly recommend you check her out, follow her on LinkedIn, to maybe borrow some of the ideas that she creates for the companies that she works for. This is probably where Christina and I diverge a little bit. In my experience, with the creators that we've worked with and had engagements with over the last little while, if they are giving you their content, then that is something that they expect to be paid for. This is their work. This is the output of their work. And therefore, the value exchange, from my experience, is that it pretty much almost needs to be paid for you to be able to then use that content onwards. I'm a member of a number of different creator WhatsApp groups, and I have seen some very large threads of angst when brands don't offer to pay for content. So the word spreads quickly around that particular community. So just something to be aware of in that. And then on to my favorite one, the one that I struggled with at Urban Adventures, and the one that I've now made my mission in life to try and solve for the travel industry, which is around conversion. So I guess the problem with conversion versus social media is that you require plumbing to be able to track what has happened from the time of the post through to the user making it to your website, and then them converting. And so it's that attribution piece that is currently missing within the travel industry, and something that we're trying to build and deploy for the travel industry with Videreo. So it can be an affiliate commission, or it could be cost per click for direct leads. That's a lot cheaper than Google or Meta. That's obviously, we're looking for a result that's better. And when it comes to conversion, I guess similar to what Christina said around the 6-month thing, you want to build partnerships with creators for it to be really effective. And nothing builds a partnership better than a pure and fair value exchange. So as brands, we want more sales. Ultimately, at the end, that's what we all want. We want more growth, more opportunities to get more of the right customers onto our products, be it in our hotel beds or on our onto our tours. And at the other end, the content creators want to make a living from doing the work that they love. And as Christina said from her stats, that's not working out too well for them. And so what we need to do as an industry, I believe, is to find where that balance sits, where the fairness of the exchange happens, so that everybody can get what they want, so that users can find great experiences, great hotels, great places to stay by following the people who they trust. And those that are the beneficiaries of that, the hotels and the tour operators, then pay a fair amount for generating that sale. And we think that's kind of the unlock that will make it work for the industry. Quick case study on hotels, and something that we've kind of built our business around was solo traveling Sonia, a content creator from the US who actually sold over 500K in room nights for Arlo hotels by herself. She's not a massive creator, and I think that's kind of important to understand here. She only has 18,600 followers, which could be considered quite small in this world, and yet that is the amount of actually tracked guaranteed sales that she brought to that brand. And I saw a post today that explained almost, better than I could, as to why that happened. So I just wanted to kind of read that out there. So I've changed to really old man glasses to help explain that. And it came with this image, and it was, who would you rather choose for your brand? Would it be Selena Gomez, or would it be the Glam Bell, smaller creator that nobody's really heard of? And the post said, I would choose the Glam Bell every time, and here's why. One, people trust her. A celebrity might get millions of views, but everyone knows it's just another endorsement. On the other hand, a micro influencer's recommendations feel real. You can look at the comment on Brandy's post and see what I mean. Her audience actually wants to try what she suggests. Two, they have intimate connection with their followers. Brandy's audience is a fraction of Selena's, but they're far more engaged. She also interacts with her community by replying to the comments. Would a celebrity do that? No. Selena can't respond to the hundreds of thousands of comments she gets. Three, their audience is highly engaged. So in this case, Brandy has 44,000 followers, and they aren't just casual fans. They follow her for her beauty recommendations specifically. And with Sonia, it was exactly the same thing. 18,600 fans, but they followed her specifically because she gave great information to her audience, other females who wanted to travel solo. And the next one is that they're more cost effective. So what it costs to get one post from Selena, you could get hundreds of content pieces by multiple micro influencers, and that multiplies because you can have so many of them. And then finally, and most importantly, they drive purchases. So the study related to this post found that micro influencers have 22.2 times more buying conversations per week than average users. If Brandy endorses a product, people will buy it simply because Brandy said so and she knows best. And that is exactly what we saw in the case study with Sonia. And then just one around tours. So at Videreo, we've in the middle of a collaboration with Secret Paradise from the Maldives at the moment. And just to run you through how our process worked with them, Ruth from Secret Paradise, she wants more sales. She's happy to give creators a chance to play that role in being able to be that salesperson for her particular brand. She has offered us a commission amount, which we then share with the creator, 15% per sale, which we can track all the way through from the creator's social media through to the actual conversion. And then Ruth has been introduced to our group of ambassadors at Videreo, and explained what her business is about, which is a highly responsible travel business. She's given the opportunity for people to ask questions and get to know them better. And now she's in the process of choosing which of those creators that she is going to work with. And in Ruth's case, she is offering a 7-night tour on one of her trips to the Maldives and nothing else. So no flights are included, no extra payment for it, because with our system, what the content creator is doing is creating the content for them to be able to sell more tours to their audience. And therefore, that is the benefit that Ruth is deeming from her investment by having this creator come on her tour. So she's not interested in reusing the content on her own social media where she doesn't have a very big following and she doesn't run ads. And so she is 100% focused just on sales, and the content creators are coming to create amazing content to sell those tours to their own audience through our platform. And just finally, a little bit about how our system works. So we have a way that we can connect a social media's a content creator's social media account and instantaneously take all the videos that they've ever created and plot them into a storefront. So we plot them onto a map and we associate products that are a good fit for both that location and what is shown in the video to be sold by those creators. So within under 5 minutes, a content creator can have an entire storefront. If they have 200 videos, then they'll have 200 points on the map, all with products already created. And this creates a canvas for their storefront. And then we overlay that by getting them to go out with brands and create specific content in the way that the creators are doing with Ruth in the Maldives. That becomes very specific and targeted around that particular business. And within our entire platform, should somebody search for the Maldives in a particular creator's storefront and that creator has not been there, then the content that has been created on this famil with Ruth will actually show up. And so Ruth is not just reliant on that one creator and their audience to bring her sales. It will actually be platform wide that those results can come to her. And so one thing I would say is that if you work with creators, just ask them if they do have a Videreo account and make one of the deliverables that they put this content and your links into their account so that you can at least have the chance to drive sales. And if they say, no, I won't do that, then I would think about how embedded they are in your success versus their own. And that's all I've got. I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Tony, for sharing a lot of great insights and case studies. Now it's time for Q&A and discussion. So if you have any questions, feel free to just raise your hand, turn on your camera or mic, and ask directly or drop it in the chat. We have now about 10 minutes to cover your questions or just discuss and share our experience. Don't be shy. Who's going to be the first one? I see Agnes turning on her camera.
I was just
Go ahead.
picking up my camera. So thank you very much for all this information you both have giving. Although we already worked with some influencers and did already several collaborations, it's always good to hear maybe some new information and see the developments. And what is really bothering us lately is this fake following. And is there any certain tool or track how you can spot it easily? Is that something you can share, or do you say, yeah, that is our own own expertise? If you want to know that, you need to have a subscription with my company. So
we track it on each creator profile, so we have way and tools to spot it. It's not really easy to do that on your own, without building a huge ecosystem. So if you are not using any tools, the kind of easiest way to at least get a sense or minimize the risk is compare the creators following to the reach of their reels. So as I mentioned in the example, if someone has 100K followers and their reels average on 2,000 views, then probably most of their audience are inactive bots or fake profiles, and checking the comments and quality of the comment section. So again, if most of the comments are just emojis and kind of you see it as AI generated, responses with no value, no conversations in it, or no comments at all, but huge viewership, then again, something is fishy. So it's about scrolling through their profile and really seeing who's engaging with their content and how much. That gives you at least a chance. Or using tool like ours where we have vetted creators first. Like we reject actually about 30% of creators that want to use our platform, collaborate with brands.
Okay, yeah.
We reject them, and from the rest, we have all their audience data, fake following percentage, engagement rates, etc. But again, at least get a sense check of their comments and views.
Following and compare it with the Reels number. Okay, thank you so much.
It's much more difficult in TikTok and YouTube, by the way.
Okay,
but they're also doing a lot to prevent the fake followership. And I think it's mainly a problem on Instagram. All right.
Thanks.
We have 2 questions from Ava. Question number 1, do you recommend giving the influencers a redemption code to track conversion? And how effective is that? And second, do you recommend promoting influencers' content after a brand collaboration? Maybe, Tony, do you want to get the first one and I can do the second?
Yep. So redemption code is a great way to do it. Obviously, it's very black and white whether the code got used or not. There are some tricks, however, that you need to look out for. If you don't care about how the sales happened, then it's less of an issue. But if you want to care about how, if the actual driving force behind those sales was working with the creator or not, it can be important, because what happens once a redemption code gets out in the wild of the internet, it almost always gets hoovered up by scrapers and then put into coupon redemption platforms that work out of browsers, so out of your Chrome browser, etc. You might have seen them when you're looking on a travel website. If you have a browser extension in your browser, it will pop up and it will start going through all the promo codes it has found on the internet to find which ones work for you. And therefore, that could actually be what is driving the extra sales. And so, brands that I've worked for have not been happy with that because they didn't want to give up a discount in the first place, and our code really needs to have a discount associated with it. So it's not a perfect metric, I guess, is my answer. It's a way that if all you care about is getting sales, then, and you're happy with the discount that you've given, then it's not a problem. But it's also not a one-for-one measure of whether the creator actually drove those sales or not, and whether you should therefore invest more in creators or not. But by and large, I like the idea of the user getting something, getting a small benefit for having booked through a particular channel. But this one has some problems around it.
And I would add on to that, keep in mind that when people are scrolling and see your creator collaboration, they very unlikely are like, oh, Maldives, I'm gonna travel next week. They are very likely to remember your tour or a hotel when it's convenient for them. And that's usually several months after they see the content. That's why the creative collaborations in the travel industry are a bit tricky, because the decision making for making a travel purchase, which is usually thousands of dollars, takes more time than seeing a nice t-shirt on TikTok and be like, oh, that's $20. Okay, let's buy it now. And, I get it next week. So that's why the long-term mindset is really needed, and not having expectations for huge sales right in the first week. On the promoting content after brand collaboration, I would recommend that, especially for content where you see a nice organic uplift. After a few days or the second week, you can boost it with your ad spend. always have this arranged prior with the creator and have their approval for the boosting. Some creators also see it as a benefit. So I can see on our platform there are some brand opportunities where it's defined in the deliverables that, hey, if your content will perform well, we'll add an extra, I don't know, $1,000 ad budget to your reel that will also help you to be discovered by a lot of people to grow also your page. So it can be a part of the negotiation, and a lot of creators like this, but it's something you should have approved upfront. And some creators might not agree to that. So just make sure you are aligned.
Yeah, and I would just say I agree, because like if it's going to be better than the other content that you have available to you, then why not? But yes, you should agree in advance that you might want to do it. So at least have that tacit agreement with the creator that it's something that you would consider. Maybe you've already organized what the cost might be. Generally, it's done on a time basis, so you license the content for a certain period that you can then use it for other things. But ultimately, if it's going to be a better shot piece that tells your story than what you have available to you elsewhere, and generally it is, then it can be a really great thing for your brand.
Yeah. And by the way, we on our blog, I think I mentioned it, but if you go to on our website, scroll down, there's a blog. We have a template for creator agreements. So if you have not used any or don't want to, find it somewhere, feel free to use ours. It's used by lots of brands, and you should put, especially for paid collaborations or like big partnerships, it's good to have a contract. It's not really used when bartering 2 nights in your hotel. That's an overkill, having a paid agreement, signed agreement, but have something and have it defined, these things as Tony mentioned in your collaboration agreement. All right, we have 1 minute left, so one more question. What kind of content usually works best when hotels partner with influencers, like Reels, YouTube videos, stories, or blog posts? And how do you usually tell if the content is successful? Also, do you think it's better to give influencers a clear list of what to post, or is it smarter to let them be creative with their own style? So very quickly, whoever wants to know answer to that is, I answered the second part first. Like, let creators be creative. I think that's key. You want them to be authentic to their audience. If you'll be giving them scripts and what exactly they should say, their audience won't connect with that, and that's why you're collaborating with them in the first place. So you're probably working with a creator because you like their style, you like how they showcase different destinations. So have trust in them and trust in the process. Let them be creative. It will work out better for you. When it comes to what works the best, Reels, YouTube, stories, etc. I would say leverage the strongest channel of the creator. So if you see a creator is strongest on YouTube, but your hotel, for example, is not really on YouTube, still it can be really powerful for you. Ask them to integrate the say in the overall kind of blog about the destination. Add a link to the hotel booking. It really helps with SEO, and it's discoverable, especially on YouTube. If their strongest channel is TikTok, use TikTok, etc. Or make them do cross posting across different platforms. And to tell if content is successful is really up to your goals. So you should have defined what's your goal. Is it to grow your organic following on your, Instagram? Is it generate bookings? Is it generate views and awareness? And based on that, have 2-3 metrics that are key for you. I'm not sure, Tony, if you would add something to this.
My only thought is kind of what I said in my presentation, is during the process of evaluating whether I wanted to work with them or not, I would ask them what their thoughts were in terms of their storylines or formats that they were thinking
That's great.
of
Yeah.
using, and get them to explain to me what they think that the shots might end up like, because it will show me if they've done any research. It will show me, have they been on my website? If they start talking about, I definitely want to make sure your pool's incredible. So I'm definitely going to make sure I'm going to go over that, have a great shot of your pool. And then I really love how you've got the XYZ on the beach, and at least get them to tell me that they have looked and had some interest in my business before the conversation happened.
Yeah, that's great. And you're likely to see a similar content from other collaborations they did. So if you're a hotel, then probably check, a couple months back how they promoted other hotel, what style they used, and if you resonate with that and if it matches your brand. All right. So time is up. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Tommy, thank you for sharing your insights more about videreo. As mentioned, I'll be sharing the recording with all of you and all of those that could not join us live today within 24 hours. It was great meeting you both, and hope to see you at some next webinar, or find a way to partner up together. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.